Well, good evening once again. It's Monday night, it's 8 p.m., and it's time for our usual show, The Ref's Opinion. Now, this is each week, rather, we break down key incidents from matches, from controversial calls to the ones that even flew under the radar. This is where we give a referee's perspective on the moments everybody is talking about. Were the officials right, or did they get it wrong? So let's dive into some of the action from last week and other things we didn't get to in the previous weeks as well. We'll have a look at those. If you'd like to take part, you're more than welcome. You can make a comment down on the bottom right-hand side of your screen there. You can ask a question or make a comment, and we'll do our best to get around to it. Now, unfortunately, I'm not joined this evening by my very good friend and colleague from the UK, Keith Hackett. He has a previous engagement, and so he will be with us again next week. Now, again, as I said, if you want to comment, and I'd love you to comment, and there was one particular incident that perhaps we can start off with this week, and that was the game yesterday between Manchester City and Arsenal. I'm sure many of you were watching. It was a very, very high-profile game. It was a game that Arsenal needed to win, but it wasn't the end of the world if they didn't. But it might have been the end of the league. When I say the end of the world, the end of the league for Man City, because they really needed the 3 points. So the situation now is that Manchester City are 3 points behind Arsenal, and they have a game in hand. That's Man City have. And they play Burnley, who are struggling at the bottom of the Premier League. They play them on Wednesday night. So assuming they win that, they will then be level on points with Arsenal, but Arsenal will still be on top by a 1-goal difference in the goals scored, in fact. But the one incident that is really dominating the conversations on TV and on the radio and in the newspaper columns was the incident between Haaland and, let me not get his name wrong, was it Gabriel Martinelli? I can't remember. But the Arsenal centre-half, and Haaland, of course, who is the centre-forward. And he's a big, burly lad, big, strong lad, and so is the Arsenal player. But they were having a ding-dong for the whole night, for the whole evening, afternoon, and they were really testing each other. But the one incident that caught everybody's attention was after one of these incidents, the two guys came face to face, head against head, and they were like that. And the Arsenal player pushed against Haaland's head, and many people were shouting, "Red card, red card, red card." Other people were saying, no, it wasn't that serious. It was a head, and he did move his head forward, but it wasn't like a headbutt per se. I'd love to know your opinion on that. I haven't had a chance to contact Keith, but there are differing and different opinions as to, was it violent conduct? Did he use his head to actually headbutt Haaland? Now, it has to be violent conduct. So was it violent conduct? What do you think? I'm just going to put my, because the messages are starting to come through. Messages, yeah, and they will come through now shortly. So was it a headbutt? Was it violent conduct? What constitutes violent conduct? What do you think? Would you have given a red card if you were the referee? Do you think it was a red card? In the end, the referee, Anthony Taylor, just cautioned both players. He gave them both a yellow card, and that was the end of it, and they got on with the game. People were screaming, "Go to the VAR, you'll see it." But Anthony Taylor is a very good referee, probably in the top two between himself and Michael Oliver, the two best referees in England at the moment. I wouldn't say they're world class, but they are getting strong recognition from UEFA and FIFA for various games. And when I say for FIFA, they are both going to the World Cup, which is being held in the USA, Canada, and Mexico in June and July of this year. And bear in mind, this is now the 20th of April, so it's only a couple of months around the corner. And so FIFA are getting ready to getting the games up and running. There are one or two differing opinions as to whether it should be held or not, and some teams are saying they shouldn't travel because they won't be safe, and others are saying yes, it will. There'll be absolutely super duper security there, and that everything will be fine. And I think it will. FIFA are pretty good at organizing these things. They're pretty good at ensuring the safety of the players, and the three countries, their security forces will be on top of everything. They'll make sure that nothing goes wrong. So on that issue of sorry, I'm just trying to get something here. On that issue of the red card, should both players have been sent off or not? Should one of them been sent off? Because it was the Arsenal player who initiated it. Haaland just held his head and they were like that. Then the Arsenal player pushed his head forward towards Haaland, and people were screaming. Certainly where I was listening, people were screaming, red card, red card, red card. And people were looking at me and asking me, was it a red card? My opinion, I didn't think it was a red card offence. I didn't think it was violent conduct. It didn't endanger the safety of the player, and that's what we're looking at. Haaland, was his person in danger by the actions of the Arsenal player? I didn't think so. I'd love to hear your opinion on that. Now, there was another red card during the week. I just can't remember it at the moment, but it was where a player's foot, there was a player going to kick the ball, and the other player came up and hit the player's foot. In fact, more the ankle with his studs. The referee checked it, didn't initially react and give a red card, but in the end, he went to the VAR, and the VAR advised him to give a red card, and he did so. But this is where I have a problem with the referees. I mean, they're looking straight at the incident. They're no more than maybe even 10 meters, if that far, away from the action, and yet they still have to go to the VAR to get it confirmed. Now, referees are being criticized all the time for their lack of, for want of a better word, lack of backbone, lack of guts. And remember, it's important to state that the referee does not have to accept the decision of VAR. VAR, VAR, means Video Assistant Referee. Emphasis there on the word assistant, because just like the assistants carrying the flags, this is another way of assisting the referee to arrive at a correct decision. But he has the final say. Now, I know there's criticism there of referees that they're using the VAR as a crutch to lean on, that they're just scared, no backbone, to make the decision that needs to be made, and yet then they only make it when they've gone to the VAR. And many of the critics and many of the even cynics will say, oh, you're using VAR as a crutch to help you make a decision. You know what the decision is. Why didn't you make it yourself without having to go to VAR? Some justification for that, I would say. You know, what did we do before VAR? What did we do before VAR was introduced? We had to make a decision based on what we saw. I'm saying we as referees. And yes, sometimes we got it wrong. And that's okay, because we're human beings. And human beings make mistakes. But now with the assistance of VAR, you would think that there shouldn't be any mistakes anymore, because you're watching a replay, and nobody forces you to get it done in 30 seconds or 1 minute. You stay there until you're happy. At one time, which is far too long in my opinion, it took 5 minutes and 18 seconds. 5 minutes and 18 seconds to arrive at a decision. Now, I know I'm moving on from the Arsenal game, but there are comments coming in on that, and I will come back to them. Tommy, I see you've made a couple of comments there. Tommy Breen, I'll come back to that in a moment. Why should it take so long? In rugby, they can get it done much quicker. In tennis and in cricket, they can get it done much quicker. Why does it take so long in football? My suggestion to speed up that would be that when there's a controversial decision where the VAR guys are called in, the referee should then, like the rugby guys, go to the monitor immediately and tell the VAR guy, in my opinion, it's a goal. Tell me what I'm not seeing, that it's not a goal. And go to this monitor and make a decision between the two of them, with the referee, of course, according to Law 5, having the final say, as he does on the rugby field. Not so much in cricket, where the TMO, as they call them, the television match official, effectively says, this is it, it should be this, and the umpire then has to go along with that decision. Tommy, I see you're quick on the ball here. So, Tommy Breen, in the interest of the game, the ref made the best decision. You reckon, Tommy, it was handbags at 10 feet. If the red card was given, it could have ruined a good game. And yes, you are, Tommy, you're talking about the Arsenal City game. Well, you see, Tommy, this is where I would slightly disagree with you, because people say, oh, the referee spoiled the game. He sent off the player. He did this, he did that. And there is a school of thought that the players should be kept on the field, if at all possible. We had a World Cup qualifying playoff game here in Dublin a few months back, and it was between the Republic of Ireland and Portugal. Ronaldo was playing, great player, great servant of the game, still playing, looks after himself very well, must be nearly 40 years of age now, and he's looking after himself very well and playing very well. But he got a red card. And in my opinion, the referee was 100% right. But there were a lot of people saying he shouldn't have been sent off. It spoiled the game, or it's ruined the game, or players come to watch people come to watch the players, not the referee. Well, there, I would strongly disagree with those people. The referee is not on any side or the other. He's not there to please anybody. He's there to be unbiased, objective, and fair at all times to both teams. Both teams. Doesn't matter who's playing or what the circumstances are or what the occasion is or who is playing. That does not come into it. It's a game of football between 11 players on either side. And there's a set of laws there, 17 in total. 17 in total. Law 5 deals with referees and their responsibilities. Law 12 deals with fouls and misconduct. And it defines what a foul is. Misconduct, it also defines that. So any kind of abuse or shouting at the referee or using bad language and things like that at the referee, especially bad language, that is an automatic red card. Automatic red card, but it's not happening. And you know it's not happening, and I know it's not happening. I'm watching players all the time. You don't have to be a great lip reader to see what they're saying at the referee and about the referee. But the referees are turning their backs on it and ignoring it. Some will say that's a good idea. That's a good punishment in itself to the players, not to give them the recognition that you're listening to them. But you can't help it. If they're shouting in your ear or towards you and using expletives at you about your decisions or your performance, you cannot ignore that, because the game will get out of hand. and players, there'll be all kinds of things happening. The players will then feel that they can do as they please and say whatever they want, which is, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. Just to check up, you're watching the Ref's Opinion. We go live every Monday night at 8 p.m. on facebook.com/Hanging Judge Ref. Thank you for joining. Thank you for contributing and making comments. And please keep your comments coming in. Now, something I noticed during the week also is foul throws. Oh, my word. The amount of foul throws that is and are happening in the game today is just ridiculous. Either the ball is not going properly over the head, or the players are lifting their foot at the back, which is happening quite a lot now, quite a lot. Throw-ins is a specific law in the laws of the game, of the 17th of the game. It says that you must be facing the way that you're going to throw the ball, firstly. So if you're going to throw it straight into the field, you're facing that way. If you're going to throw it to the left, you have to be facing that way. Or to the right, you must be facing that way. What are players doing? They're doing that, which is a foul throw immediately. And the ball is not coming from the back of the head where it's supposed to come from. It's coming forward, and the ball is here before it's released by the player. That's nearly over their eyes. That is a foul throw. The other part is that part of both feet must be on or outside the field of play. Remembering that the laws of the game state quite clearly that the lines on the field of play belong to the areas of which there are boundaries. And I'm quoting now. The lines on the field of play belong to the areas of which there are boundaries. So penalty area, for example, if you get tackled on the penalty area line, that's deemed to be inside the penalty area, and therefore it's a penalty kick. Unlike rugby, where the line does not belong to the field. So if you put your foot on the line and you're running with a rugby ball, you put your foot on the line, you're deemed to be out of play. It's the complete opposite with football, or soccer, as some people like to call it. So when people are taking throw-ins, sometimes they're nearly standing on the field of play. The referee is watching the play around them. The assistant referee is watching for offside, and nobody's checking the player taking throw-ins. You might say that's petty. You might say I'm being terribly pernickety, but the law is the law. Otherwise, why have it? I've often suggested, actually, that instead of a throw-in, and by the way, the other thing is they're stealing how many yards? 10, 15, 20 yards sometimes. How many times are they sent back to where the ball left the field? Because again, the law says the ball must re-enter the field of play at the place where it left the field of play. Is it happening? Not a chance. 10, 15 yards all the time, and referees allow it to go on. Plus the fact that the player has taken a foul throw. Now, it's not a bookable offence. It's not a cautionable offence. You don't yellow card for that sort of thing. What they're trying to do, and I think it's a good idea, I think it's being tested at the moment, that if a player takes a foul throw, you don't have it taken by the same team again. It's taken by the opposition, which is I think that's a good thing. Tommy, you made another comment. Whilst I agree with you, Errol, let me put you up on screen. Whilst I agree with you, Errol, and the letter of the law, perhaps it's time the sin bin idea is brought into the game. Again, I go back to the cost of attending a Premier League game. A sending off can ruin the entertainment / the game. We deserve better as the paying fan. It is entertainment. I suppose it is entertainment, Tommy, but you can't have players misbehaving because that sort of thinking is there. And the players, the top players, will say, well, he won't send me off because I'm an integral part of this match, and I'm like a Ronaldo or a Messi or a Holland or whoever, any of the top players. He won't send me off because people come to see me, and therefore I'm almost immune. That's not the case at all. It doesn't matter, as I said to you earlier, and I said to the people watching, it's all about 11 players on the field of play, playing to the laws of the game. 17 laws of the game. You can't have players doing what they want just because they are who they are, and because they are who they are, they think they're immune from sanction by the referee for their misbehavior. Time wasting. Keith and I, sometimes we try to get around to these things, but it's not always possible. So it's a good opportunity tonight, while unfortunately Keith is not with us. He has a previous engagement. The wasting time. It's almost become endemic in the game now today. From the goalkeepers lying on the ball, well, not so much anymore, because now they must release it after 8 seconds. In the past, I've often counted players taking up to 15, 20 seconds. I'm talking when the ball is played into the keeper, maybe he makes a great save, he's holding on to the ball, falls down to the ground, dives on the ball, holds onto the ball, looks down on the ground while holding the ball, then he slowly gets to his feet, and then he slowly moves out to the edge of his penalty area and gets rid of the ball. Honestly, I've counted 22 seconds one time. So, Tommy, what you were mentioning earlier about entertainment, is that entertainment? And Keith and I have discussed this, and I think I mentioned it before, that the amount of time that's wasted. There was a survey done on the actual playing time of 90 minutes, the actual playing time of the 90-minute schedule. Forget about the additional time added on and so on. 56 minutes were played. 56 minutes. That means 34 minutes was time lost, playing time, either with throw-ins, goal kicks, time wasted, taking a throw-in, player going to take a throw, and then he decides, no, I'll give it to one of my buddies to take it. More time lost, etc., etc., etc. 56 minutes. See, referees are not clamping down on that, and they should be. Now, the issue with the goalkeeper now, they're only allowed to hold on to the ball for 8 seconds, and that's great. And you see how quickly they've gotten used to it. And you may or may not know that for those of you who are not regular viewers of the show, if the keeper holds on to the ball longer than 8 seconds, and the referee allows the first 3 seconds to go, he counts it in his head, and then he puts up his hand, and he counts 5, 4, 3, and so on, and down to 1. And if the player still has the ball, the goalkeeper, then it's a corner kick to the opposition. Now, I found that very strange. I don't know how they arrived at that, because the ball hasn't gone out of play. So how can it be a corner kick? Only they know. I have absolutely no idea that they give a corner kick. It's a foul. It's an indirect free kick to the opposition from where the goalkeeper was last holding the ball. If he goes over the 8 seconds, that's the way it should be. But the IFAB, which is the International Football Association Board, these are the people who make the changes. Remember, they were there before FIFA. FIFA only came into being in 1904. IFAB, International Football Association Board, have been there since the 1880s. So they make the laws, they make the changes and amendments to the laws of the game. And just on that, so you might know, what makes up IFAB? They're made up of 8 people. 8 people on the IFAB board. 4 of them are from England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. That's the 4, because England invented the game. So I guess they claimed that 4 of the spots. And the other 4 are made up from the greater FIFA family. And they decide around March of each year as to when what changes they will make to the laws of the game around March of each year at their AGM. And then those laws come into effect on the 1st of July of that year if your league starts in August, September. If it doesn't, it goes round to the following year. And for a new amendment to be approved, or amendment to the laws to be changed, it has to have 6 of the 8 people to agree that it should be changed. And if that be the case, then the law is changed and it comes into force on the 1st of July. I think it's the 1st of July. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Sin bin, Tommy, did you mention sin bins as well? It is being tried at a lower level at some leagues. It is being tried successfully. Keith was telling me last week. It is being tried very, very successfully. When it'll come into the Premier Leagues and the World Cup, who knows? Who knows? I think it's a good idea, and I think the sooner the better. And that way, you wouldn't have these top players, the people who attract people to the game, attract fans. You wouldn't have them being sent off, perhaps, but doesn't mean to say it gives them the freedom to misbehave and do as they please. They can't. They just cannot do that, because then you'll have every player doing it, and the game will become a farce, really. Now, I can't go on without mentioning some of the refereeing decisions. And as a referee since 1970, so that's a long time. I started refereeing in 1970, both here in Ireland and in South Africa in the Premier League. And then I was head of the referees in South Africa. And when I retired, they asked me to retire early to take charge of the referees, which I did. And then I was coaching and mentoring. And I had 3 guys at the 1998 World Cup in France. And one of my guys ran the line in the final between France and Brazil. And that was the last game that the Brazilian Ronaldo played, because he was actually injured. And sure, that's his last international, because he was injured and he really shouldn't have played. But he did. And France won 3-0. And so I've been involved in refereeing since 1970. So I think I know what I'm talking about anyway. Anything else we want to talk about? Players wearing rings. Apparently now this is going to be allowed. So if you've got a wedding ring, or some say, the ring won't come off, and then they used to be allowed to tape it up. But the original law said no jewelry whatsoever. Chains, earrings, rings. And someone says, well, what happened if I can't get the ring off? Then you don't play. You don't play. Simple as that. You're not allowed to wear any kind of jewelry. But I think they're easing that law. They're easing it in that they're now going to allow players to wear rings so long as they're taped up, but not earrings, because those studs, I mean, if you get a bang in the head, that could actually pierce the side of your face there, which wouldn't be very pleasant, So they're going to allow that, apparently. And I think that's all I have on the agenda for this week. Somebody made a comparison with the headbutting incident we mentioned earlier with the incident with Chelsea and Everton, where I think it was Cucurella. Calvert-Lewin. Was it Calvert-Lewin had his hair pulled from the back, and the player got a red card for it. And they're saying that was not as serious as the incident with in the Man City game the other day. So maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Anyway, that's all we have time for. Goodness, I didn't think I could talk that long without Keith, but I have done. And I want to thank you for looking in. And it's not a good time, perhaps 8 o'clock on a Monday night, but it's the best night, I think, because we have all the weekend's fixtures to take care of and deal with. Thanks to Tommy for your several comments. Tommy, appreciate it. Thank you very much. And to you out there for watching. Until next week, when we'll do it all again, and Keith will be back next week. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and good night and God bless. Thank you.